Hello, Billy.
Hello.
How are you? Welcome to Raising the Standards.
Thank you.
The Internet's finest hour. Somebody say anywhere.
Anywhere.
All right, you guys got it. Miss Rachel is not with us today. She is, as you said a few moments ago, Bill, she'll be done with law school, and just before you know it.
Yeah, she'll be done with law school, and they'll be back to normal.
She'll be back to normal. I'll be 80 at the time, but she'll be back. It's going to be back in the studio. We're not going to talk baseball. I had a long time. As a matter of fact, while I was being so disappointed while the Yankees lost, I think I missed Liz Cheney's execution. So, but we'll see. We'll see where that goes. Good show today. We're going to later on in the program, Weekend Liner Notes will feature a marvelous alto player that you may not be familiar with, named Illinois Jacquette. I'll tell you a little about him later in the program. Joining us today, a fine musician and a very creative man, Adam Spaletta. Hello, Adam. How are you?
How's it going? Good. Glad to be here.
Well, we're delighted to have you here. So you have, let me preface this by saying, in the old days, if you wanted to produce an album, you needed to sign with a label, get a publicist, and do everything else. And the same thing if you wanted to publish a book. You had to, we'll print 20,000 copies and see who wants to buy it.
Yeah.
Well, they're all done to order now. And so it's very interesting. A book, you want to buy a book? Fine, I'll have it to you in 3 days and we'll make a book.
Yeah.
Same kind of process with producing an album.
I mean, it's definitely different, I would say, than, even 20, 10, even 5 years ago. Yeah. Streaming has really changed the entire landscape of things.
Where else can you make a tenth of a cent every 3 days?
Exactly, yeah.
So that's a good deal. But, okay.
It really goes to the artistry.
Yeah, exactly. Bill, are you a musician, Billy?
I took piano 1 quarter in college. Does that count?
I think it does.
Wow, you're generous.
You are a musician.
And I took Chinese Mandarin 3 years in high school. We probably could tour Peking.
All right.
Or Beijing, as the case would be. That's how long ago I took Chinese. But, Adam, the idea of, let's talk about it from a musician standpoint, someone who's got, I've got a great idea, have no idea idea of how to go about it.
Yeah.
Where do you start? And what's your kind of recommendations on that?
Well, I mean, I started on the computer.
Yeah.
Like, I know that sounds silly and simple, but like all the ideas that run through your brain for however long they're running through your brain, if you can hang on to them and write them down or put them on your phone or record them wherever you can, you can start putting them together if you really kind of push yourself to do it. So
now I hearken back to the days at Capitol. From my standpoint, yeah. where Frank would go into a room and everybody would be there.
Yeah.
It really wouldn't even be tracked.
Right.
That changed with doing tracks. And now, and it's interesting because you do all your own stuff. We'll be playing some of the music in a few minutes. The album's called Questions, Moments, and Adoration.
Yep.
Yeah, I got that right.
Yeah.
But what's interesting, Herb Alpert, when he first sent out his first test on a recording, he played all the instruments, and so the record company said, "Yeah, that's great." So he goes, "Well, I have to put a group together now."
Yeah. Well, and Prince too. His first album where he was literally playing everything. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's where it's harder to do it by yourself in that sense because you are kind of pushing all of these different buttons and setting yourself up to make sure that you get all of the things tracked and it's in line, it actually makes sense, and you go back and you're like, okay, now I'm a bass player, now I got to do the whole thing over again from this angle. So it takes time. But
the technology in terms of fail-safes, now you can control the key. You can't sing off key.
Well, you can. I can too.
Yeah.
Actually, you'll probably hear that later.
But then that could be processed, right?
Yeah, you can process, and I think that's where, getting back to Capitol Records, they're gonna put the entire piece together for whatever musician or band that they're working with, from start to finish. Which means they have, as much as there's the creative aspect to the music, there's also the control part of it too, where they're making sure that whatever product they're putting out is going to be exactly what their standards and expectations are.
All right, let's play an example. We've got some of the album queued up. What's the first cut we're going to play?
I think it's track 4, Little Broken.
Little Broken. So this Adam Spaletta. Let's listen to this, and we'll find out how it all came together. You're listening to Raising the Standards right here on Santa Cruz Voice the Internet's finest hour. It's your second chance.
Anywhere.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That is Little Broken by Adam Spaletta. That's nice. It's from the new CD. Question? Do I call it a CD or it's called
album,
the
yeah.
album?
Yeah.
It's not a CD.
I'll put it on a CD eventually.
Put it on a CD. Questions, Moments, and Adoration with a really creepy cover photo. Did you do that as well?
No. I got a hold of somebody and they put that together for me. I'm a musician, not an artist, is what I like to say.
Was this person institutionalized?
No.
A musician is an artist.
Yeah, it counts, but I can't draw.
Not a visual
life,
artist.
So, yeah,
okay.
Can't draw. So.
Well, you said something off microphone talking about that music can be whatever you want. But for years, you were kind of pigeonholed, into, well, you got to do it this way, and you got to get somebody to do that, and no, you can't do that.
Yeah.
It literally is a whole new ballgame.
I mean, the technology has changed that whole situation. You can plug in, a microphone to your computer and press record on any device and just go. And I think it really does start to open up the doors of creativity again, where it's like you don't have to sound the way that everything else sounds. You can sound however you want to sound. So it takes time. It's hard, to really get creative and allow yourself that space to do it. But it's easier than it has ever been before to just get started with it. So,
well, were it only to be true that we can sound as we want to sound. Well, you're not welcome in my world, I'll tell you that. But and Ralph Waldo Emerson once said that imitation is suicide, and I know there's no imitation in your work, but there are obviously influences.
Yeah.
And I hear a little Lennon McCartney there.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah,
the harmonies.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we did over 900 takes. I did end up going...
Seriously?
Yeah,
wow.
900 vocal takes just through the album of vocal tracking. And I have always had that kind of mentality, the Lennon mentality of like, I'm going to double myself because I don't like how I sound.
Yeah.
So, not surprised that stands out. But it's also, everybody comes to me and is like, oh, it sounds like 90s. I'm like, okay, I don't know what you're hearing, but I'll trust you, and that's fine.
I really don't know the 90s.
Yeah, it's yeah, it just comes down to like... If it sounds the way you want it to sound, that's been the hardest part for me, because some of these things were 20 years old that I was writing when I was a kid, and just putting them out there in the format or in the sound that's been in my head for that long has been really nice.
Now, the evolution of the project, did you, and when you say 900 takes, did you go, well, that's good, but this might be better? But did you also find that's not as good?
Yeah, I didn't know what I had at first, because it was all just on the computer. I like I said, I had these ideas for a long time, but I didn't really have much of a time to do it. And then it just took a giant pandemic to give me the space and time to kind of push myself to put these things out into the world. So
well, since I'm a producer and not an artist, and I talk flat. How did you approach recording the different tracks? I mean, were you capable of doing them in different keys?
Yeah. I mean,
did the machine do that?
No, I tried to not do as much of the machine, quote unquote. The drums, actually, you hear, I did program the majority of them, and then we ran them through, some software.
When you programmed, you played the drums?
Yeah, I mean, I would play them, but on the computer kind of thing. Yeah, so you can create those types of drums from scratch, but everything else is played. The synthesizers and obviously all the vocals I did, the guitars, bass, all that. So like, I didn't want to just sequence things. Again, that's kind of the more organic process that I prefer. I wasn't trying to have it be perfect. It's not perfect. There's flubs all over this thing, which is kind of nice to just have it out there and some catharsis there. So.
Well, it being perfect, I would imagine, would be the musical equivalent of AI.
Well, yeah. I mean, when you start talking drum beats.
I think it'd be losing its soul.
Yeah, well, and compression and limiters that push everything up to a certain volume so that it all sounds the same. Yeah. The way that songs are scripted or written, kind of crafted from start to finish. It's, 6 people on the planet that do it the majority of the time on the radio. So, like, when you start getting into the details, it's like, okay, what's the point of the music? Yeah. So.
Well, tell me a little bit about your background. Do you have multi-personalities as a child? Well, yeah. That's really easy to overdub.
No, it's. I mean, I grew up singing Nirvana in a garage when I was 5, kind of thing. Like my parents talked about that, and I don't remember much of it, but music has always kind of been that attachment for me. It's when I think of particular albums that I listened to growing up, I know where I was when I heard it the first time, and I know how old I was because that was the moment for me. It stuck, and that's kind of, sense of smell. People talk about that too. Like, for me, music is kind of that kind of just progression through life in different moments. So things that stuck when I was younger, obviously I can still, go through and
give us a for instance. Where were you doing? What were you doing when a particular album came out?
One of my favorites, A Perfect Circle, Mare de Noms. I was in El Dorado Hills for my brother's soccer tournament, 13 and a half years old, with a good friend of mine that, I still talk to pretty regularly. But the whole trip, I had my headphones on listening to that album.
Cool.
Like, those are the types of things for me in my head historically that, like, that's the type of music I like, so that's the kind of thing that I want to write. Yeah. So there's all kinds of stuff.
I have a memory of robbing a liquor store and listening to the Beach Boys. All comes back to me. Wouldn't it be nice?
Help me, Rhonda. Oh,
help me, Rhonda.
Okay, so you're there again. In those years, you could say, "Wow, I love singing." But the reality, and it's obviously not the reality now, but the reality then was, it's not going to happen, so I'm going to go another direction. It must be a wonderful epiphany to realize, wow, I can do this, what I've always wanted to do?
That's what this album was. It's I don't know if I can do this, and I questioned myself a lot about that. Like I said, some of the stuff that I had written down, shout out to finding old journals from 20 years ago kind of thing. Like I was like, oh, I actually did that, forever ago. Let me see if this word fits or this phrase fits in this song, and finding that type of inspiration. I didn't know if I was going to be able to do this. So sitting down and just pushing myself to try was really, the hardest part. And then it's like, okay, when I started realizing like, hey, it's sounding outside my head the way that I want it to, it's like, okay, maybe I can push this a little bit further. So
now, when you although the analogy isn't close, but I've written a lot of comedy in my life, and I think I have a pretty good handle on what's funny, but I would still be a little uncomfortable using it because, God forbid, someone didn't agree with me.
People hate it. Yeah.
I find if they don't agree with me, it's not funny. But are you a pretty good judge of, that's a good tune, this isn't?
I like to think so because I'm a musician, but the reality is I don't know what these songs are.
Yeah.
I've heard them so many times in my head that, there's kind of a little bit of a separation from it. I like music that I like, and I'm biased that way, and I'm not going to claim to be otherwise, but I was saying when I was starting to get ready to put this out, I was like, if people have an opinion on it, that's really all I'm worried about. Like, if you love it, great. If you hate it, great. If you're in the middle, that's where I'm going to start losing my mind. Where it's like, oh, everybody's like, man, it's okay. I'm like, damn, that would be tough for me to feel that moment. But yeah,
have you when someone says, wow, that's terrific, have you mastered the, well, thank you very much reaction as opposed to, you do?
Yeah.
But has it surprised, as the reaction to different tunes surprised you?
Yeah.
Well, I thought you would have really liked the other one more than that.
Actually, yeah. There's been a lot of varying reactions. Little Broken, the one we just heard, I really liked very early on. I called it my simple song, and it's not, but it sounds that simple. It's catchy enough, and we had people in the studio come in and do the haze and hand claps and things like that. It was a lot of fun to put together. There's some other ones that are just weird, and that's okay too. Like I needed to get that out of my system, and some of those have actually resonated way more than I was expecting to, which is cool.
Now, did you write poetry as a young person, or was I guess you call them lyrics if you want, but
yeah.
Did you say at some point, well, this is kind of a cool thing to write? It'd be cool to put it to music as well. Yeah,
that's one of those where it's like I have a phrase in my head and I'm going to, put it on my phone in notes kind of thing just to save it for later and then put these pieces together. I mentioned the journal earlier. Like I would write it down not knowing what it was, but it was in my head. I liked the way it sounded. Maybe down the line, a year or two, whatever, 20 years in some cases, like that's going to find a place because I like the way that sounds. So it wasn't specific to poetry so much as it was just finding those words and that motivation or that inspiration.
Do you write a great tagline and then work your way back to it?
I've tried that, the Dave Grohl write the chorus first kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, some of those will happen. It depends on the song, but it really there's no formula for me like it, and that's kind of what I tried to do is not stick to a particular formula, even though it's some of them are verse chorus bridge chorus kind of thing.
It's funny because I've written a lot creatively for advertising, and essentially you're writing the chorus is what you're doing.
Right.
It's like I have this country western song that I wrote. No, and it's great. And the country western song is called "I'm Living on the Outskirts of Love," which is a great line, and then you build up to that. And I think my first line is "Waking up alone and feeling undone, ain't no way for a man to be."
Yeah,
and I'm living on the outskirts of love. No other time on this program in all these years would I ever quote that I wrote that and tell anybody if we didn't have this situation. So at what point, are your parents, did you come from a musical household?
My mom liked to sing, and my dad really got me into, the quote-unquote grunge. No, but he just loves music. He always has. My mom is a singer, and like I said, my dad would listen to anything, which was nice. He's a huge country person nowadays.
Okay.
But it doesn't really matter. It's if it catches him, he'll listen to it kind of thing. So just having that ability to find music and to listen to new music, my mom always pushed and inspired me to find what I like and enjoy. I remember my first album that I ever bought, Silverchair's Frog Stomp. I was something like 10, and that was the album I wanted because I heard it on the radio, and the kids were 14 when they put that album out, and it was a huge deal. Like, those were the things that she pushed me and encouraged me to do, was just do it and get out there and not let yourself hold yourself back, kind of thing.
When was the last time, or remember a time that an artist or a group that you didn't expect to enjoy? That you just went, whoa, I am a Swiftie. Maybe that's not it.
That's a fair point. I can think of, really good one for me was Keith Urban. When he was coming up in the country side of things. Yeah. The musicianship has always caught me. Brad Paisley's another one in country. I don't listen to a lot of country. There's a lot of repetition in there, especially on the radio, but there's always some of those artists that come out where it's like, wow, like it sounds different. It's familiar, but it's got a uniqueness to it. And Keith Urban coming from Australia and just having that ability to pick up a guitar and play it the way he did.
Well, it's interesting because it goes both ways. And late in his career, Johnny Cash did covers of rock and roll tunes.
Some of my favorite bands too. Yeah. Nine Inch Nails was one of them. His cover of Hurt is just haunting. So thinking about it from that angle, like, yeah, you're going to be thrown off. And I think if you're open to it, you don't want to get just stuck in one side of music. There's so much out there.
We're talking to Adam Spaletta about his new CD, new streaming work. See, luckily I'm not saying 78 RPM at least. Here on Raising the Standards, we'll continue, do a little business, and we'll be right back.
Cannabis is one of nature's most beneficial plants, and at Treehouse Dispensary, we use it to build community. In addition to dispensing cannabis and education, Treehouse hosts First Friday events every month that feature our community's local artists, makers, and activists. If you're 21 plus, join us at 3651 Soquel Drive every First Friday from 5 to 8 p.m. to enjoy the work of local artists and musicians, find one-of-a-kind gifts, and learn more about the top cannabis products in California. See you soon.
Located in Scotts Valley, Steel Bonnet Brewing Company is a family-owned brewery and tap room that focuses on creating delicious English, Scottish, and American ales. We are open every day and offer food trucks and live music on the weekends. With both indoor and outdoor seating, the brewery is the perfect spot to relax with your favorite drinks and loved ones. Bring your furry or human family members, as we are dog and kid friendly. Swing by the tap room at 20 Victor Square off Scotts Valley Drive or visit steelbond.net for more information.
The Hook is California's first ever cannabis outlet. 100% locally owned and operated, we're here to be your friendly neighborhood hookup. We believe that everyone should have access to fairly priced cannabis, so we work hard to get it to you for 30 to 50% less than the other guys. If you're 21 or older with a valid ID, visit us in Capitola or in Watsonville today. We're here to be your friendly neighborhood hookup. Check out our website, hookoutlet.com, for deals and stay groovy.
Hey, Warren, it's been a while since I've been up to your showroom and garden center in Scotts Valley. Maybe the folks out there might want to know where you are.
Absolutely. To find Knox Roofing and the Knox Garden Box Company, just head up into beautiful Scotts Valley. We're at 46 El Pueblo Road, next door to Scarborough Lumber and the beautiful nursery. And when it comes to wood items, we have It's All About Wood gift shop. And, of course, the Knox Garden Box. Lots to look at. We'd love to see you at Knox Roofing and the Knox Garden Box store. Okay, thanks, folks.
It's Locals Live Mashup.
And we're ready to test your knowledge and hand you a $100 gift card to the Back Nine.
Our next contest is the Beatles. You're going to need to name 10 songs.
Or as many as you can.
Whoever names the most wins a $100 gift card. Now, you already listened to Locals Live for sports, entertainment, and politics.
And don't forget History Corner.
So let's make it happen.
Impress your friends and win $100
on Saturday, November 2nd from 3 to 5, right here on Locals Live.
We're back on Raising the Standards. Jacoby with you for another half hour or so. Program note, next week, Miss Rachel will be back in the studio. Maybe she's taking the final here. I don't know. She's going to be here. And we're going to have John Bailey, who's a local attorney.
Okay.
So they can do shop talk, and I can just kind of eavesdrop. They're probably talking about passing the bar, which I have never done on any level.
An attorney named Bale. Interesting.
Bailey, that's true. I imagine you look him up. Right?
Yeah.
Let's get this guy.
Right.
So we'll do that. Then we're working on the surprises for as we get closer to the holidays. We're with Adam Spaletta, and the work is, how would I describe it? A work, a streaming, a project? Or,
it's an album.
But it is an album.
Yeah.
He told you that already.
I know, but an album, thank you. What, do you got the transcript?
I don't know the difference between a song, an album, and a record. When I hear the Grammys, do you know the difference between a record and an album?
It's not anything that I'm going to be able to explain.
Okay.
An album is a collection.
Well, then there's EPs and LPs and all the things, and everybody's yelling at me right now. Like, yeah, you should know the difference.
And there's a
just
difference
music.
between extended play and long play?
Yeah, LP and EP, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, the one of those things is called Questions, Moments, and Adoration. I got another tune off that. Tell me about the derivation of this tune called Orchid.
This one, the album title's literal. It's, the song titles are questions, moments, and things that I have adored at some point in my life. So Orchids is just something that I said I was going to write a very long time ago and finally got around to doing it.
All right. Adam Spaletta and Orchid. That's lovely. A tune called Orchid. Now, you were saying, first of all, I've just been informed that the artist is of a different name.
Yeah, I put it under Severed Silhouettes.
This is precisely why Cat Stevens never comes on this show. I am not going to use a different name than what I understand. So
fair point.
So that's your name de plume?
Yeah. Yeah, didn't want to put it under myself. It didn't feel again.
Well, I guess that cat's out of the bag.
Well, there's a whole band of instruments in there. You know, I didn't want it to be. I did all of these things. You know, it's about the music, and putting it under something like that lets me,
But for
build a
those
band
folks
later on.
listening, now you know the secret. The word is out.
That's fair. Yeah.
So what is the name again?
Severed Silhouettes.
Severed Silhouettes. Yeah. So that's the name of. I mean, is that a group name in your mind?
Yeah, it could be.
It's not a surname,
right? It's just a title. Yeah,
it's not a title; it's a name.
Yeah, which is a
so
a title.
if I were to introduce you at the Grammys, would I introduce you as Severed Silhouettes?
Severed Silhouettes, yeah.
So you wouldn't accept it under Adam Spaletta?
Yeah, exactly.
You would.
Yeah, because the band is going to rotate. There's going to be more people than just me on stage trying to do all this at some point. I hope so. Yeah, that's the plan anyway.
Now, that's a good question. So, say a record label. Have you sent this out? Have you been started?
It's under Synaptic Records, which is cool.
Oh, because they can find me.
Yeah, but it's cool that that's a part of the distribution these days as well.
You get a call from a record company.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So does anybody still do that anymore?
That's what I mean. Yeah.
There are record companies still, aren't there?
Sure.
They do exist.
There are EPs and LPs. But you get a call and say, we love your work. We need to talk to all you guys, which is what happened to Herb Alpert.
Yeah, that's fair.
How do you answer that? You go, how many guys do you think we are?
Yeah, I'm gonna tell them here's what I need, kind of thing to put a band
That's
together.
That's just for me. The rest of the band's going to need more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I mean there's songs on here that could be done with 3 people. There's songs on here that would sound, live with 6 people. There's songs that I wrote that we had 15 people in the studio doing hazing hand claps. Like I said earlier, like the dynamics are there, and that was the point of the music. Like it wasn't necessarily can I do this live? It's what do I want it to sound like? And now the challenge becomes, okay, how do I do it live, and who's going to help me do that? Because it's impossible to do by myself.
Have you done live performing?
It's been a long time ago. Yeah, but yeah. Okay. So earlier on, back in the day, I think that they say. That's
I know that feeling.
Yeah,
I like the eating better than performing.
Yeah.
So I got out of that business. But it must be a daunting task, and it's also this is my baby. Sure, the 3 of us will do it. Well, that's not as good as the one of me.
No, I mean that's fair, but also that's the opposite. When you have bands in the same room trying to put something together, there's obviously huge pros to doing something like that, where you've got different perspectives in the room at the same time. That was the hard part for this. Was does it sound the way I want it to? It's on me. Now I can give it to somebody and they can.
So
help me make
this
it.
has become not to belittle the creativity of it, but it's almost become a tutorial to give to other talented people, saying, "Hey, how would you like to share this with me?
Sure,
and let's see what we get out of it."
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to look at it that way for sure, because it's already. For me, it's done. It is what it is. It'll be what it'll be, 10, 15, 20 years down the line. It's going to be the same. If they have opinions and thoughts, then it becomes, okay, how do we do it live? How do you want to change it? And maybe that's where, the next step of
is that a goal?
Sure,
okay.
Yeah.
So on your bucket list?
Absolutely.
Because you have a regular job, right?
I do. I work.
You work under Adam? Is that your name?
Yeah, I don't have a title for that one. Nothing on the business card that's different there.
You mentioned that you'd had Orchid in your mind for a long time.
Yeah.
It's a little strange. I mean, was it Orchid was like a favorite plant, or
it was about someone.
Yeah. Oh, it was about someone.
Yeah,
yeah.
Right. And there was orchids.
Was their name Orchid?
No, but they were named after an orchid.
After
yeah, actually.
That narrows it down.
Yeah, it does.
Now everybody's right now Googling. Oh, is it? It's like a Seinfeld thing. It rhymes with. Never mind.
Yeah, I mean the songs they're like I said, they're moments in time for me because some of them were forever ago, and some of them are way more recent. Yeah. Little Broken was written during COVID. Yeah. I'm not afraid of dying, but I'm afraid of losing my mind. Like that's the catch. That's the hook. And for me, that's kind of what stuck in that moment. So
COVID, from a creative standpoint, it was really a blessing for a lot of people.
it's a weird thing to say that out loud.
Yeah,
'cause
no,
it's like this is a
true.
blessing, but like everybody on social media was baking bread and doing all the things that they had never had time to do. So yeah, I mean, it was an opportunity.
I would
for sure.
have loved to learn 2 or 3 languages, but I did catch up on Seinfeld.
There you go. And that's, again, I think it really is to each, twice. It's to each their own. This was something that's been in my head for a long time that, I needed to do at some point. And that was a good opportunity to do it.
I tell you what, we're gonna do liner notes, and then we'll come back with a live song from whoever this fellow is over here. So today we feature a fascinating musician whose career spanned over 50 years, played with jazz giants and presidents. Illinois Jacquet was perhaps not a household name, but was a major player in the second half of the 20th century. A native son of Broussard, Louisiana, Jacquet's parents were Creole. At 15, he played alto in his father's band, where in 1939 he met Nat Cole and later Lionel Hampton. A pioneer of playing the honking alto saxophone, which was a mainstay in jazz and in early rock and roll. Jacquet was also one of the few people in the business to master the bassoon. He was a member of the Cab Calloway Band, backed Lena Horne on her recording of Stormy Weather, replaced Lester Young in the Count Basie Orchestra, and did a duet with Bill Clinton on the White House lawn in 1993 as part of Clinton's inaugural ball. That's quite a resume, and quite a player. Here's his driving version of Louisiana Blues. That's interesting. Blues from Louisiana, and it's you had asked me how to pronounce his last name,
Yeah.
and it's Jacquette, but since I mispronounced it Jacquet the first time,
Yeah, I would be
went
tempted.
the entire way. So I've gotten real good at mispronouncing names in this program, or not even knowing.
Well, you've had a lot of opportunity.
Exactly. That's from. It was good to say it's from the album Questions, Moments, and Adoration, but it's not. That wouldn't be Illinois Jacquette. We're with Adam Spaletta, who has some other name, but you're going to have to deal with that when you download that. Speaking of downloading, so you're not signed with a label.
Correct. It's
nobody knows who you are.
It's distributed on the internet. Yeah.
But you make money.
Sure.
But then why would it be sure? Because isn't it?
It's not the
It's
important
not
part.
public. No, I know it's not. Good. It's not. But it's not public domain. I understand that.
Right.
But I know if you're signed, if you're with a label, I mean, like my friend Paula West, I mean, she gets like 22 cents per download or something.
Right.
Is that a deal that's worked with each individual, with each label, or does everybody? See what I'm saying? If you're Taylor Swift and your down is 22 cents.
Well, I mean, she just re-released all her albums too. She re-recorded them because she owns the recording rights to them.
Right.
That was one of the big, conversations around that was she had the ability to do that. Like production rights, performance rights, royalties, those types of things. They're all tied into this.
But somebody downloads your album,
Yeah.
you make like $10, right?
You can buy it for $10.
You can
on
buy it.
iTunes, but
But that's my point is that's different. If she sells one, it might be more.
Yeah, and it's again, the streaming is so completely different. It's in the hundreds of millions where you start financially recouping things, you know, in terms of plays on the internet. So it's tough because when you're talking marketing side of things, you're not streaming it for the money.
But do you have to get up like to a quarter before they send you money? Have you gotten any? Who do you get a check from? Or people just charge it to their account?
There are companies that distribute. Like I leveraged DistroKid for mine, which is a company that puts it out there on different platforms and kind of facilitates that level. Because you're right, there's not a lot of intermediaries out there that are easy, but there are companies that kind of take that on, especially from the streaming side. So they actually facilitate that information.
Have you gotten any goofy small checks?
I think I have like $16 of royalties, something like that, where it's like, my wife bought the album, so that's really cool. And then, the streaming is there. So
certainly a good case or a good argument for polygamy.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting one.
Imagine the number of albums you'd sell. That's not a bad idea.
But again, it is. Thank you.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Phil, Rachel would have gone along with it. Bill's right. It is a bad idea.
It's not about the money. And it's never
I know
been
that.
about the money.
I know that.
But
it's not like you're turning it down.
Well, but some people do it for the money. And that's again, the motivation behind the music is different for everybody. If you're in this to stream it on your own and make $1 million in a week, it better be catchy, because Chapel Roan's coming for you kind of thing. Like there's so much out there that is proliferated by the bigger companies like Capitol.
And I hope when you recruit the other band members, they're equally as generous.
I hope so. Yeah, they got to get paid too. So we got to figure that out. But that's a step at a time. I think that's being upfront about it early on. Like, hey, this is what I'm doing.
Well, I see you brought your laptop with you. Do you have a guitar sound on it? No, that's not true. He apparently actually plays the guitar.
Yeah.
It's not just like a Mac program. What are you going to play for us?
So this was track 12.
I love how you list things. I'm a big fan of number 3.
It's how I've done it in my head for years now. So putting it all together. Tomorrow's in the rear view. So that's what it's called.
Go ahead and start playing because I have no idea how to introduce you.
I'm sorry. I think I'm losing touch. Sometimes the world spins too fast and I think too much. But I'm sorry, I just didn't understand. Like I caught up in the meaning of your words, it just didn't land. Yesterday's gone, but I'm still holding on. Yeah, tomorrow's in the rear view and I'm trying to be okay. But I'm sorry, yesterday is here. Oh, all those feelings, thoughts, and moments in my head, they just reappear. But I'm sorry, I forgot to say goodbye. It's just this rug was pulled out so fast, I was stuck wondering why. Oh, yesterday's gone, but I'm still holding on. Yeah, tomorrow's in the rear view and I don't think I'll ever be okay. Oh, yesterday's gone, I'm still holding on. Yeah, tomorrow looks better in the rear view anyway.
Severed Silhouettes. Yeah. Who'd have thought I got that right?
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Tomorrow looks better in the rear view. That'll stick with me. That was good. Is that an example of one of those things you write down and just hang on to, thinking you could use it sometime?
Yeah, exactly.
That makes sense.
I wrote it down. I'm like, I'm sure I've heard it somewhere before, but yeah, you can find it anywhere. That's the whole thing. Like, just write it down.
Well, yeah. And also the fact the phrase "objects are closer than they appear" is impossible to rhyme.
There you go. Yeah.
That's why you do that. Adam Spaletta. Good having you here, my friend. Your family must be very proud.
Thank you for having me.
That does it. The A train is on its way in. I'm on my way out. Billy, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Adam, good to have you in the studio. As always, this show has been for Mark, for Georgianne, and for you. Until next Saturday at noon, right here on Santa Cruz Voice, and anytime on Spotify, when we once again raise the standards. I'm Jacoby. I'll see you soon.
should take a train.